Hello everyone and welcome to another mod guide. In this mod guide I'm going to be showing you how to take a 10 round Vortex mag and turn it into a 30 to 33 round Vortex mag. So you can definitely see the difference between the two, and you can do this for under $20 including the price of the mag depending on when you watch this. So let's go over all the parts you're going to need. Just like with any mod, you're going to need some modding materials. First, you're going to need a high temp hot glue gun with some high temp hot glue. You're also going to need, and this is a really weird item, you're going to need a reactor spring, a Nerf reactor spring, the ball shooter. These springs fit perfectly into the next item you're going to need, which is a 4-foot long clear tube guard for fluorescent lights. Take a Vortex disc to Home Depot or Lowe's, go to the lighting section and look for these big clear tubes, and you want the ones that have a very loose fit on your disc, and you also want the ones that are really straight and don't have any sort of like kinks in them. You're also going to want to have a Sharpie to mark out where you are cutting. A ruler is also really good for this. You're also going to want a Dremel with a cutting disc and a sanding drum. And the most important part you're going to need is a Vortex 10 round disc magazine. Do not get the 20 round ones because you're just wasting money and you're only going to get an extra 10 shots in there. So go for the cheaper 10 round mags. Those are really the only ones you need to get. Alright, first step is to open up your Vortex magazine. So just undo all the screws. They're all the same size, so it doesn't really matter where you put them. A couple of things might pop out at you. One being this little spring right here on the bottom area, and the spring that goes into this section right here. So put those aside, make sure you have them. The pieces you're going to want to keep from your Vortex magazine are the bottom piece, the, I guess this is called like a push platform, I'm not really sure what the correct name for that is, and you can keep this piece as well, as long with both sides. The only pieces you don't need are these two, the spring and this little bottom piece, so just scrap those. Next thing we're going to do while this is open, we're going to cut off the little pieces that stick out and clip into place inside of the Vortex mag. So I'm just using my snippers and get them off as cleanly as possible. I'll go back with sandpaper and clean these up once I'm done, but plastic snippers are amazing. I love them and they make cutting things super easy. So that's the bottom, and you're gonna wanna do it to the push platform as well. These things go flying when I cut them. So there's 3 of them on here. You got the 2 big ones and then the small little one right here. This piece, I'm not entirely sure if it's necessary, but I keep mine in my magazines anyway, so just slide that onto the little piece that holds it, and then it goes into right there. I like to super glue down this side so it doesn't go flying off everywhere. And for right now, you can put your magazine back together, and I would say screw in 2 of the screws so it doesn't come apart when you go to the next step. The next step involves your sanding drum, and what we're going to do is we're going to come in and sand down the bottom ridge right here. We're going to grind it down so they're even. So grab your Dremel and a sanding drum and have at it. On the inside, you'll notice these ridges going down the entire magazine. You want to shave those down so they make a nice shallow slope. This will be very important in the upcoming step. Alrighty, there we go. That is what mine looks like, and we may have to come back and grind it down some more, but for now, this is good. And put it aside. Next up is what we're going to do with our fluorescent tubing. This is where the Sharpie and the ruler come in handy. So, starting from the bottom where this cap is, these caps are actually good for putting on the bottom of your mag at the end. Measure out about 12 inches. I like to do about 13 just so I have that nice safety net of not under measuring. So once you have that, cut that out and make it as nice and flat as possible. Now, before you get too far into this, you want to make sure that your reactor spring actually fits. There shouldn't be any sort of sticking or sliding. It should smooth very nicely through it, and if one of the sides does stick, this is actually pretty good. You can use it for the bottom, but you want this top part to at least go through everything nice and smooth. Very easy way of doing this is just gently push it through there, and I know someone's gonna make a comment about this, haha, funny. So yeah, make sure you do that, very important. The next step is figuring out which side you want to use to go inside of your magazine. If I show you right now, they don't really go together too well, and if they do, there is a bunch of squishing. I don't know if you can see that, but the sides get squished in, which is not what you want because they'll make it hard for the discs to go through. So I'm going to use the cleaner of my two edges to shove in here, but what you're going to do is take either sandpaper or your Dremel drum, and you're going to want to thin out this area. Once you have both parts nicely sanded, I went over both of mine with 220 grit sandpaper and made some small adjustments inside of there. You want to put your tube in not too far. I'd say try not to make it go past that little dip on the side. You just want it to go in just a little bit. Look down and make sure that there's no, none of the edges are curving in or anything like that. And then you want to hold the bottom of it while making it as straight as possible. Take a disc and just put it through there, and it should go through without any sort of stopping or slowing down, even while it's tumbling around inside the tube. So mine is looking great. Look at that, perfect. That's exactly what you want. And while you're testing your discs and just sanding in general, you want to be heating up your glue gun because the next step requires gluing these two pieces together, and it is the most important step in this entire mod guide, so be prepared. Like I said, this is the most important part of the entire mod guide. You're going to want to have both of your parts nicely cleaned. If there's any like paper towel or toilet paper being snagged on the inside of here, you did not sand it well enough. So once your hot glue is ready, you're going to want to put a ring around this, not inside here because we do not want any of the glue getting inside the tube. So it's better to put it on the outside, then push in and twist slightly. And then within that time, you're gonna wanna straighten it out as much as possible, and then we'll add more glue after that. So here we go. If you have any way of drying the glue super fast, like a can of air, just hold it upside down and spray it on there. It shoots out a nice cold liquid. That will get your glue nice and dry super quick. And test again, because like I said, this is the most critical part. And if your disc falls through, just like it did earlier, then you are good to go. So clean up the area one more time to get rid of any residue that you put around the tube. And then hot glue around this super well so it's not going anywhere. Now, what this does is it makes it so you can't open your magazine, but with a little bit of patience and a razor blade or a heat gun, you can definitely get the glue off just in case something goes wrong on the inside. So while this is gluing both sides of this together, it isn't, you know, untake-apartable, which is not a word, but that's what I'm gonna use. So put some glue around there and let it dry. Now we are moving on to these pieces. You're gonna want to sand these super well, especially this little platform piece, because you do not want it snagging on anything. So if you haven't sanded those already, do so now. Once you have both of those nicely sanded and cleaned, we're gonna start putting a little bit of E-tape around this little platform, because you may have noticed that your platform gets stuck around this area, and the reason for that is because it will be tilting just a little bit. So what we're going to want to do is put at least one wrap of E-tape around it and make it so that it can't twist or turn inside the tube and get stuck anywhere inside of it. Once you have that done, follow it up with a spring and make sure the spring isn't going around the platform, because that can happen with some reactor springs. So just make sure, and also check to see if it gets through that gap nicely again. If it doesn't, you may need to add more tape. Once you have your platform where you'd like it and you are satisfied with its performance, you may notice that the spring does not push the platform all the way up. Now you're going to push your spring up until the platform gets up to the top, just like so. You can either have more spring force, like a little bit of pre-compression, or you can make it a little loose so it doesn't go all the way to the top, but put it where you want. Make sure the spring coil is about perpendicular to the sides, and mark it with a Sharpie. Once you have that, cut it nice and straight like we did earlier, and you're almost done. Once you have it where you want, clean up the edges, maybe even sand around so you don't have anything sticking out. Make sure there's nothing on the inside. And now you have two options. Put your platform in there, put the spring in the right way, Push the spring up just a little bit inside of there. And now you can either plug it with the top that came with the fluorescent light tube, or you can put E-tape around the bottom piece from the Vortex mag and put it in there. And then I suggest taping it up a little bit more. One really cool thing you can do with these is, if you want to, you can take out the spring and load the back of the platform up with BBs and hot glue. And all you have to do is turn it upside down and cap it, load the disc like you would, except upside down. So if it's upside down, you want to load with the top of the disc going up, like so. And now you have a gravity clip where the weight of the platform pushes the disc down, and you can make them into like 105 round gravity mags, which I have 2 of, and they're kind of awesome. However, if you do this, you won't be able to use the push platform anymore because there's too much weight for the spring to push it effectively. So, with all that done, you now have a high capacity Nerf Vortex mag. It's that easy, it's that simple, and it's that cheap to do. Hope you guys enjoyed this. Let me know how your Vortex mags turn out, and as always, have a great day wherever you are.